Now on to your lesson planning. Since you now have the mission cards, which gives you the roadmap of the things that, the skills and the components of play that needs to be covered for the kids at your level, with some teaching points to give you a good framework on how to build your lesson plans. There is a blank lesson plan that's designed for a 5-week session. The reason for that is that in week 6, at the end of a session, if the sessions are 6 weeks, that we do what's called Olympics, which is basically a celebration at the end of the session. It concludes a session. Just like a book has a beginning, middle, and an end, we like to be able to end the session so there is a chapter that closes and then the next session starts. It is also a way for, over the course of 5 weeks, the skills and activities and drills that we did now can be put into some sort of a competition format in week 6. That will be covered during the competition section, and we'll give you more details on that. Now, when you're planning your lessons, it's important to know for kids at this age, kids don't mind doing things, the same things over and over. They just don't want to do it for very long periods of time. If you watch how they watch TV, how they play video games, how they jump from one app to the next, they can do things over and over, but they just don't want to do it for a very long time. With that in mind, the way that these lesson plans are designed specifically for young kids is to get the most out of them in blocks of 15 minutes. So when you're doing an activity or working on a specific skill, plan on 10 to 15 minutes per activity. This is going to take a little bit of an adjustment to get used to because we like to stretch activities for a long time. Now, of course, you can make progressions out of an activity and make it look a little different. But going from one activity to the next is really important for young kids. You can revisit that skill or specific activity and do it again. You just want to make sure you have blocks of 15-minute increments. So when you look at your lesson plan, you're going to see that for the structure, you're going to have what is called an ABC, which is basically a warm-up, and we like to call the ABCs agility, balance, and coordination. Playing tennis, obviously, there's a lot of things that kids have to be able to do at a young age, or any age, quite frankly, to become good tennis players. And this is a good foundation. Balance, coordination, agility, hand-eye coordination, all those things are very important. So in the beginning of your lesson, you would normally do a 10-minute ABC. And you can select this. You will have an activity and drill library where you can select drills from as well. From your mission cards, you're going to try to select three tactical missions, 3 skills. And you're going to write that out for a 5-week plan. You're going to say, well, why only 3 skills? Well, you want to be able to make sure that kids can do same things over and over again and they get competent at it. What they want to be able to feel is successful. Now, there's a fine line because you don't want them to get bored too quickly, but you do want to be able to challenge them. So getting them confident and competent is really, really important. So you would pick the 3 skills. Then you would choose from that. You would choose an activity or a drill that would complement, that would work on that skill. And then you would write down some teaching points, which some of these teaching points are in your mission cards, but of course there's other ones you can see and use as well as you're teaching kids. But each one of those activities or drills need to have at least 2 or 3 teaching points. As you do the activity or drill, now you start to teach them different things. So I'll go through an example of this, of a lesson plan that is written out. So if I do my ABCs and I'm going to say I'm going to use the playground ball, that would be one of my ABCs. That's one of the favorites that we use. Skill would be, I'm going to say that I'm going to work on maintain a rally. This lesson plan, by the way, is for Court Kids 2. Maintain a rally is my skill. My activity is going to be self rallies, because for some kids, hitting in a small space, small taps up, especially when they're starting out. My skill 2 is going to be reception. And that one I'm going to work on is catching and throwing in a cone and making sure they're catching the ball away from themselves. So spatial awareness. Then it could go to catching the ball on the side of a contact point and so forth. I can do different progressions with that. The next one's going to be targets, directing the ball to targets. Those could be hitting it to different color of spaces of the court, and having always a bullseye or a target out where they're trying to hit to that space or target. So those would be some examples of what I would do, and now I've written this out for 4 weeks. So as I do this, I've written out my 3 skills for 4 weeks, and over 5 weeks, I'm going to be working on these skills. Now, I can change my activities up in different ways. I can use the same activity. I can do different progressions, or I can write 2 activities depending on what I want to do. But my skill, I'm still going to be working on the same skills. This kind of concludes the lesson plan. We will be doing an Encore session with you after you've done this crash course and give you a sense of Encore more with the lesson plans, and you'll really get in depth on how the lesson plans work.